Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Minister Peyton Moore. I am here today just to talk on a subject today. And I'm proud to be an American. I'm proud to be here in America. I don't know what other people's problem is. You're here, so you might as well make the best of it. I don't think if you go into any other part of the world that you're going to succeed like you do here. I mean, there's going to be a very low chance unless there's something that you know that we don't know. Um, People are having a problem with the word illegal. Illegal. A very simple word, very simple term. It's a very simple definition. The word illegal means just against the law. If you break into my house, you did it illegally. You didn't knock. You didn't ask to come. You just broke into my house. You wasn't welcome. If you break into my car, you did it illegally. If you break into the country and come across the border without paperwork or anything being in the process, you don't have anything to show like ID or a passport, a visa, or something, birth certificate, you done it illegally. There are people that are coming through our border here in the South, the Mexican border, Texas border, and things like that, just somehow just being trafficked through the border or just swimming through the border, however they're getting here illegally transported. Um, there's documentation that's needed. I'm having a problem with the people who have came here illegally, especially in the past 4 years, even though it's been happening before then, but in the past 4 years, anywhere between 10 to 14 million illegal people have been coming into this country and was allowed to come into this country. Now, I'm not saying that all illegals are bad. Some people just trying to get here to find something better, but then you have the mixture of the bad ones mixed in with that. And whom was planted into communities all across America, especially Chicago, places like California, places like Detroit, Baltimore, New York, especially on the East Coast and Northeast Coast and mostly democratical states. And then these people were placed into the black neighborhoods and kids were taken out of their areas of gyms and different apartments being given to them freely, and people being moved out of their comfort zone or where they're living as Americans, and these people being replaced there, and they're getting all these free benefits and all the free resources and loans and cars and all kind of checks and being financed and fed and given medical resources, when right here in America we have veterans who are struggling to get those benefits. So we have our American citizens who are on fixed income who are trying to get benefits, or that mother who seriously need it, or that person who have got laid off their job that need benefits can't get it because they're being given to illegal people. Now, I'm not going to blame this on all our Mexican brothers and sisters. I'm not going to do that. Because they're having a problem in Mexico where the people from deeper South America and other countries are trying to come in through the border behind Mexico to get into Mexico. And the Mexicans here don't want the people here to come back through the U.S. border to get back across there to get back to where they're supposed to be at. There's a problem going on. We're having a big problem with Guatemalans and El Salvadorians and people like that and people that's coming from other countries outside of Mexico that are coming in illegally from the Middle East, Africa, and other parts of the world coming in illegally. Then you get here in the United States and you want to hold a protest and you want to burn our flag. We have had people who have came here and went through the process and got their paperwork done to become an American. And guess what? They're proud to be an American because they know in their country or in that part of the world where they're from, they wouldn't and they couldn't succeed. When I seen all of this going on in California and all the protests that has been happening since ICE has been arresting and in New York and in Detroit and in Baltimore and so forth and so on in these mostly democratical states where ICE is arresting illegals. We're trying to sort out the bad from the good. The good people I want to stay. I want to see them thrive. It's the bad ones that's in these gangs and sex traffickers and rapists and drug dealers and gangbangers are the ones that we need to get out. The people that's working on the farms, I think they're honest people. It's just that they haven't had probably the financial resources or something to get their paperwork in process. At least they're working, trying to maintain something to be legal here. I don't want them touched. We want the good people to stay. But the bad ones, we got to get out. I don't want anybody to take this wrong or take this discriminative. I'm not trying to discriminate because I have many friends of many races and from different cultures and from different parts of the world. The average person can't tell a Mexican from an El Salvadorian or a Mexican from a Guatemalan if they don't know, if they haven't been around or had contact. Don't you know that Mexicans and a lot of Guatemalans and El Salvadorians don't even get along? There are some areas in South America that, but like I say, they're coming in through the backside of the border of Mexico, coming in, and then people from Mexico don't even want them in their country. The illegals that they're trying to send back over there, the Mexicans don't even want them in Mexico. Evidently, they're bad people. But you have nerve enough to come to our country and burn our flag. And hold up another flag representing where you're from. You shouldn't have never came. Now, to you that think like that, now, like I said, I don't want anyone to take this wrong. If your heart goes this way, then there's something wrong with you. If your mind think the way I'm finna say something about on the topic I'm finna really get on, there's something wrong with you. I hear the topic where they say, black and brown, we must stick together. Black and brown, we must look out for each other. I have no problem with that because in my family, there's Mexican blood. In my side of the family, my great-great-grandfather was Mexican, Joe Gonzalez. A lot of deep Gonzalez blood is in my family. To my Caucasian friends, I don't want you to take this wrong either. Not unless you got a bad, corrupt heart and you think the way I'm finna talk. My Hispanic friends, I don't want you to take it wrong either. Not unless you got a bad heart and you think this away from your mind. But I'm going to go back to I'm gonna just take it back to civil rights movement, and maybe just a little bit back. As I went down in history, and especially when I get back into the civil rights movement, or I get back to the slavery movement, when we say black and brown, we must stick together, or black and brown, we are fighting for the same thing. No, I think a lot of my black brothers and sisters in the past and some of my past relatives were fighting alone. Because I don't know where the brown people were when the black Negro had to follow this book called the Negro Motorist Green Book. Where was the brown people at then? Because I only see that black people had to stay in certain hotels and eat in certain restaurants and use certain filling stations and go to certain barber shops. Or they had certain nightclubs they had to go to, certain places they could shop at, and certain places that they couldn't. Where was the brown people? Where were you at in this picture? Where were you at when this happened? The Willie Lynch. When the black man was being whipped in front of his family, beaten down by a slave master. Or a slave master used somebody to beat the brother down in front of his wife and kids. Where were you? Brown people. Where were you, brown people, when this lady, Claudette Colvin, this is the original lady who was arrested for sitting in front of the bus, not Rosa Parks. This lady. Where were you, brown people? Where were you, brown people, when Emmett Till was beaten? Where were you? Where were you at in this march? Where were you? Huh? Where were you? Where were you, brown people, when these two men here was assassinated? Oh, where were you when they was out there marching and fighting and being arrested and going to jail for the rights for their people? Where were you? But you want us to come out and do what? Where were you? Where were you? Where were you when this man was fighting and standing up for the black Negroes in America? Huh? Where were you? Where were you at in this part right here called the sundown towns? Well, by a certain time, black people had to be in the house, because if you was caught out in the dark, you'd be either killed, beaten, lynched, or put in prison. Where were you? I'm not going to open this book because this is a little too graphic here. Where were the brown people then when my brothers and sisters and my ancestors and past relatives were being lynched, castrated, burned, hung? Where were you? Because I only seen white and black. I only seen through the history that I read of a white restroom and a black restroom. I've never seen a brown restroom, let's say, for brown people or for people from South America or Mexico or El Salvador. I've never seen a restroom that say that. a restroom for brown people. It said white restroom, black restroom. White hotel, black hotel. Black people can eat here, white people can eat there. So where was the brown at when the dogs was being sicked on my black brothers and sisters and past relatives and water holes on them and they been through in jail? Where were you? Brown people, especially to the illegals. The first time I was called the N-word, it was by a Salvadorian back in around the early 90s. Not by a Caucasian person, by that Salvadorian. I was called the N-word. I'm just hitting facts here. I'm not trying to cause any disturbance or say anything bad. I'm just hitting facts. Where were you while my people were being hung, burned, castrated, drugged down the street, decapitated, heads blown off, beaten to death, threw in jail? Where were you, brown people? Oh, but now, since y'all want to be burning flags and out in the streets and looting and tearing up things, you want the brown people to come out and support you because ICE is arresting you and the Trump administration is not playing with you. Oh, now you want us to come out and do what? You let these democratical politicians fool you, who have brainwashed you to only bring you over here illegally for a vote. Lyndon B. Johnson, he really did a dupe on y'all because he did a dupe on the black people when he said he'll have them NIGGERs voting for the next 200 years Democrat on the Democratical ticket. He really catered to the brown people. He cared less about the black people, Mr. Lyndon B. Johnson. So brown people, where were you? Oh, George Floyd got killed all of a sudden, y'all want, but you know what? You had some Hispanic people and Mexican people were saying, you're not coming in our neighborhood destroying nothing. And those are the ones that I like. They stood their ground. So I say I'm not trying to be discriminative or nothing. It's just that I'm hitting facts. Where were you when my people were being hung, burned, and castrated? Where were you? And today we just supposed to jump up and do what? We're the one that my relatives and our past ancestors, Black American ancestors, they're the ones that paved the way for you to have what you have here today. They took the beatings. They took the being hung in trees for you to have the right of what you're trying to steal from us today. And I'm talking to you illegals. Get out of our country now. President Trump, you have my 100% support. Clear the way. Clear them out.